everybody. We're live here. The Phillies are red hot. Tomorrow, first preseason game starters. We're going to get to see Jalen Hurts play tomorrow. Kevin Durant, has he really got a chance to come to Philly? We got all this to talk about and more. We'll be going live here in 30 seconds. Don't go anywhere.
Holding gets around in front. And Philadelphia has it.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media, live on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, retweet, share, follow, whatever you got to do on whichever platform if you want to get interactive with the show. Best place to do that is on the YouTube page. That's where you can put your comments, thoughts, questions, concerns about all our topics. We put them up on the board. We answer them. We talk about them. Everything right there. So make sure you do me a favor, hit the like and the subscribe button there on YouTube as well. I am your host, Phil Stiefel, at Bearded Knowledge on Twitter. Today, we got Dylan Davis at Dylan JD98 joining me. Good morning, Dylan. I see you hydrating with a little Powerade this morning.
Got to, man. Got to after the late night last night, right? That Phillies game was exciting. I know we'll talk about it, but Jesus, I couldn't sleep.
Oh, it's because you couldn't sleep. You weren't partaking in adult beverages, and that's
well, I mean, that happened over the course of the game, but I don't know if that has to do with the dehydration this morning.
That's why I always come prepared. I got my coffee on one side, I got my water on the other side. I'm always ready to get hydrated here in the morning. Yeah, so Phillies are red hot. Another big win. We are going to get into Sixers talk. We haven't talked Sixers on the morning show in a little while. Let them be on the back burners. We talk baseball and this Phillies run and training camp with the Eagles. And we are going to get into training camp as well because Nick Sirianni spoke yesterday and said the starters will be playing one or two drives. And I definitely want to spend some time addressing that, my thoughts and my concerns about that. But, of course, we're going to start with the Phillies red hot last night. Win a game against Sandy Alcantara 4-3. We did the pregame show. You predicted 5-3. I said 4-2.
4-2.
We both had pretty much the same expectations for the game, and it pretty much came down exactly the way we predicted it was. We were just each one run off on the score. First off, as Carter's saying, Syndergaard pitched great last night. Dude, I was on Twitter a lot last night during the game, and there are so many people bashing Noah Syndergaard. He sucks. He's this. He's that. What do you expect for a pitcher that you were able to trade Mickey Moniak, a guy that couldn't hit 150 in the majors? That's all it took to trade to get Noah Syndergaard. What did people expect Noah Syndergaard to be? Are they that clueless that he's barely pitched in the last 3 years, that it's been 4 years since he's been a Cy Young candidate? Noah Syndergaard was brought in here to be the fourth, fifth starter, to solidify the back end of the rotation. If he gets hot, maybe pitch in the playoffs. We'll see. It was to eliminate the Bradley Falter, Chris Sanchez, Nick Nelson starts. It wasn't to come in here and be an ace Cy Young, Zach Wheeler type pitcher. Yet all these people are all over social media just completely trashing this guy. And he did exactly what he needed to do. 6 innings, 95 pitches, 2 runs, struck out a couple batters. I have the box score. I had the box score up. What did he have? 1 or 2 walks only last night. 2 walks, 6 hits. It's exactly what you want out of your fourth, fifth starter. A massively quality start. What with people here, what gives?
I don't know, and this is another example of fans not allowing the total landscape to play out and only judging in the moment, right? Because early on in the game, I can understand why people were frustrated or getting upset. It was in the first 3 innings, he was getting hit a lot. I think he had given up 5 hits in the first 2 innings again, leaving stuff over the middle of the plate with 2 strikes on batters, not being able to put guys away. And it's like, oh, it's the same old story as his debut. However, once again, Phil, there was not many hard hit balls last night. And then he really settled in kind of after that 3rd inning. The 4th, 5th, and 6th innings were extremely clean for Noah Syndergaard. And if you're telling me he's only going to give up 2 runs per 6 innings, that is as good as you could possibly ask for. 3 in 6 innings is fine with me from Noah Syndergaard. But if you're telling me he's going to go out there and give you 6 strong innings, get to that bullpen, like we said, 7, 8, 9, set them up, and only give up 2 runs, I'm all the way in with what Noah Syndergaard did last night, and something that John Kruk kind of pointed out on the the post game when he was talking was like he's kind of learning how to pitch again. Because he brought up CC Sabathia when he lost his velocity and he kind of had to relearn how to pitch without the speed. Well, Syndergaard can't pump 100 anymore. Syndergaard can't pump 98 anymore. And he hasn't really pitched that much over the last 2 years due to injury. So he's learning how to locate, how to use his off-speed stuff, how to put guys away with 2 strikes, and it's a big learning curve at the moment, especially when this team's trying to make the postseason. And I'd say he did a pretty good job of it last night.
You bring up an interesting thing, learning how to pitch again, and that's excellent. I must have missed that part of Kruk saying that. I did not hear that. But not only is he learning how to pitch with different stuff, he's learning how to pitch back in a playoff chase again.
Right.
I mean,
right.
all year this
meaningful
year,
baseball.
Los Angeles, a meaningless team that's going nowhere, and he was just slinging the ball up there, trying to just figure it all out. But there was no pressure. So now he's still trying to figure it out. And now there's this massive pressure. We're on a 7-game winning streak, 12 of our last 13, whatever insane number we're at now at this point. He's learning how to pitch in a playoff situation again. And that's 100%. just as big of a deal. He hasn't had pressure on him in, 3-4 years? And now all of a sudden there's all that pressure dumped on him. And he knows, being a Met for a long time, he knows what the Philly fans are like. And he has to impress the Phillies fans, figure it all out on the fly, have all this pressure, and yet he goes out and pitches a quality start last night. And he's still getting crapped on social media because he didn't go 7 shutout innings.
I think that was another interesting thing that we kind of talked about on the pregame show last night and that others were talking about throughout the week was, he might not have the nerves. He might not be as anxious because it's not his debut. All those emotions are going to be out of his body when in reality, are they? Because it's only his second start. He knows how his first start went, how underwhelming it kind of looked, right, on paper. He knows that the Phillies are on a win streak, so do you want to be the guy that ends that win streak? And he knows who's on the bump against him in the NL Cy Young favorite right now. So there's a lot of pressure on Noah Syndergaard to perform well last night. So emotions had to be high again, and he pitched a lot better than he did in his debut.
And I don't want to, take away from the fact that, it wasn't like it was old Syndergaard, but he's still got a lot of great movement on his ball. He's just struggling to locate them to an extent. His off-speed pitches, they move. There's a lot of break in those pitches, slides in those pitches. He still can throw the ball. He's just trying to, put it all together. There is still talent. For my eye test, there is still talent there. And last night, I was watching the game. I was on Twitter. I was bouncing around doing a bunch of things last night. It just seemed maybe the umpire's plate was a little, his balls and strikes were a little inconsistent and off as well.
Yeah.
So maybe a better, umpire behind the plate last night. Maybe we have different results on his pitches as well. So, in my opinion, that played not a major factor, but a small little factor in it last night.
Inconsistency plays a huge role, right? And I have a problem with it, but I have no problem with it when an umpire takes away a part of the plate, but he's consistent with it. Like if he's not giving either side 99% of the time, he's not giving, the outside corner, right? He's not giving that all game. What I have a problem with is when he doesn't give the outside corner in the bottom of the 6th, but then in the top of the 6th, he backwards K's Rhys Hoskins on a ball that's not even touching the line on the outside part of the plate. Be consistent. Even if it's a strike, but you're calling it a ball, call it a ball all the way through. If it's a ball and you're calling it a strike, call it a strike all the way through. Don't be back and forth with it, inning to inning, pitcher to pitcher. That's when I start to get annoyed, and that's when it can actually affect the outcome of a game.
Absolutely. All right, we talked about Noah Syndergaard. Obviously, Sandy Alcantara. I think he had 45 pitches to the first 5 innings last night.
Yeah.
The guy is as advertised. But we talked on the pregame show yesterday. We needed to get his pitch count up. We needed to get to the bullpen. We didn't really do that, but we were able to hang in there long enough and then come the 8th inning, just like the last time we played him, tack on some runs in the 8th inning. I don't think he was getting tired per se. I did read a report that he said to one of the Marlins beat reporters that he thinks somehow, he's not sure how, he'll have to look into it, that he thinks he started tipping his pitches in the 8th inning. And maybe that was part of it. Maybe that's just him making an excuse why he fell apart in the 8th inning. I don't know.
Well,
but what I do know is they were able to hang. This team is so different now than they were 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago at the start of the season. Because even when you're going up against the Cy Young candidate, did you at any point last night feel like this game was 100% over? There's no chance in coming back.
No.
But it was confidence that there was an opportunity still in this game.
I had confidence early on, right after Schwarber doubled to bring in Stott, and they made it 2-1. I was like, all right, they'll start to get to him. And then they didn't. And not that I didn't lose confidence. I knew there was always a chance. But then Bilotti lets up 2 balls off the right field fence for another run. And I'm like, this just might not happen tonight. Well, the Phillies do it again. They're the only team to beat Sandy Alcantara 3 times this season. They've beaten them the most out of any team going back to 2021 or 2020, whatever it was. And last night, dude, was so impressive because I'm not the first person to say this. They said it on the broadcast. I saw a bunch of people say it on Twitter. This was probably the most impressive win in the season. And they've had a lot of impressive wins in the season. Dude, to get to him in the 8th inning the way that they did was ridiculous. And then the base running, the pressure by Schwarber. Now, don't get me wrong. If that throw's on the line, he's out by 45 freaking feet. But like Kruk said, you force their hand. You make them try to make a perfect throw to get you out at third. Schwarber doesn't score on the very next hit if he's not on third base. He's not tying the game if he's not on third base there. So, but going back to him tipping his pitches, I mean, from what I saw, not that he was tired per se, because he was only in the 80s at the point when they started to hit him. Mm-hmm. He was leaving that fastball over the middle of the plate. It was losing a little steam on its velocity, and they were just roping him. And to be honest, it was Mattingly's fault. For what I know it's Alcantara. For what reason are you allowing a dude to give up 6 hits in the 8th inning? At some point after the 3rd hit, maybe after the 4th hit, you might want to call your bullpen, Don. Like, I didn't understand that part at all. Thank God you left him out
He's
there.
An overrated manager. He's no different than Joe Girardi, in my opinion. He's not worth. If the Phillies go out in the offseason, have to hire a new manager, if they don't give Rob Thompson the gig, I'm not gonna. If they bring in a guy like Don Mattingly, another retread like that, guys like Don Mattingly, they're just not good managers, man. I got my man Brett checking in on Twitter here. He's watching over there on the Twitter page. He was there last night. He said the 23,000 sounded like a sellout.
Yeah.
And the response in the 8th was real. And he's also bringing up the Jimmy Rollins tweet, which we could address that for Brett real fast. Jimmy Rollins last night tweeted out, "Where's the crowd? This team is red hot." And they're not even, they were 53% capacity last night. Mm-hmm. Where are the fans? I have the fan base that to sell out a stadium on a regular night, you need casual fans buying in. You know what I mean? Not the diehards like us that cover it and talk it on a daily basis, that watch every single game. You need the casuals to buy in. Have the casuals not bought in yet to this Phillies team? Or is it just a simple matter of this past week or two has been dreadfully hot, the weather's been awful? Because you would think a game like last night would have a pretty packed house.
So first of all, and after we do this, I want to address the juice that crowd had last night, because that's something I haven't felt at the bank in a very long time. But I have a question to your question. So, because I saw Jamie Lynch from The Fanatic tweet about this morning about how it costs $200 to $300 for a family of like 4 to go to the game and all that stuff. And you think back to 08, 09, 10, 11, when it was packed out on a Wednesday night, blah, blah. Correct me, like, am I wrong for this? I was younger back then. My grandpa would take me to the game, but that would be, it was more so of a party back then, no? Like, it was a lot of 20-year-olds, 30-year-old guys. Now, like, it's family. It's a little bit more family-oriented, at least during the regular season and this summer. So there's obviously families of 4, families of 5, families of 6. It's tough for them to get down there. And that party crowd where 4 dudes paying for their own ticket together, paying $20 a ticket, aren't doing that as much. Is that a reason as to why?
So I think you're onto something. I'm going to kind of rephrase your answer a little bit. That party atmosphere, those dudes, like, Yeah, I was part of a season ticket group. We had an 18-game package, whatnot. Everybody paid for their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Those are young 20-somethings that were partying and filling the bank are now 30-somethings with families and kids now.
Right.
And the younger generation that was 10, 12, 13 years old, now's in their 20s. Going to a Phillies game is not the cool thing to do anymore.
Right. I love it, but
so do I. But until something happens and they make the playoffs, or because if you go back to before 08, if you go back 05, 06, they weren't selling out games at that point. It took 07 and 08 for them to start selling out, and then they continued to sell out because it became the cool thing to do. It's going to take the Phillies getting
make
back
the playoffs.
It's been 11 years since they made the playoffs. It's going to take them getting back to the playoffs. It's going to take a packed playoff game in round one, and then you'll see that snowball into next year once it becomes the cool thing to do again. Does that make sense how I'm explaining it?
Yeah, no, 100%. But that was just my thought, because it is a good point. It is extremely difficult for a family of 4 or 5 to get down there and pay for tickets, pay for food.
We do a DSM. We go to a game together. It's $50 for the ticket, $50 to park, actually the place is like $25 to park. $12 beers. What? It just for me to go to a Phillies game plus the cost of gas to get to the stadium.
Right.
You're looking at just for me to join you, Dylan, at a baseball game. I'm probably dropping $125 to $150. That's bare minimum. That's if we don't really get rowdy and party and eat and drink a lot. You know what I mean?
100%. And that's
in this day and age, is it worth me dropping $125 when I could sit on my couch, crack open a beer, jump in the pool during the middle of the game to cool off, come back in, or move my laptop outside and watch it while I'm in the pool? You know what I mean? Is it worth it financially in these tough times to do that? Now, I'm surprised it's still just 23,000.
Yeah.
I would expect at some point here soon to get to 30, 32,000.
I also want to acknowledge the fact that it's been like 100 degrees outside in Philadelphia.
I think that 100%. I mean, you went to that game a couple of weeks ago where it was like 120 degrees.
Brutal.
Dude, you probably sweated off like 20 pounds.
Oh, well, I was at the one with the Cubs game. I left in the 5th inning. That was the day it was 104 out, and it was just not happening. And they gave up 3 solo home runs in the first 5 innings. So I was like, yeah, I'll see you later. But then I was at the Braves day game. We stayed for that one because that was a great game, but I sat right in the sun. I was like, Jesus, man. It's tough to be out there right now. So I agree. I think once you kind of get towards September, once that little bit of fall weather, or even once it gets down to like 80, 82, stuff like that, you'll see more people. And once that playoff run starts to come, I think you'll start to see it more, because
there's literally no doubt, to Jimmy Rollins, to Brett, to anybody questioning the fan base for not showing up. I guarantee you, first playoff game, packed house, sold out.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. That standing room only room in the outfield will be packed. There'll be literally zero doubt in my mind that stadium will be packed for the first playoff game. Max sellout, no doubt about it.
Well, I think last night, and part of the commenter's point was how he was down there last night and how crazy that stadium was. That's going to get people wanting to be down there, dude. That 23,000 sounded like a sold out crowd. Schwarber's emotions, dude, were incredible last night. When he got that single.
That I more care about
the double, yeah.
Because the double was everybody thinks of Kyle Schwarber as his home run hitter, and that's it. All he does is hit home runs. No, he can actually do other things with the plate. Right. And that double was an excellent piece of hitting. And they
going the other way with it.
Swing, the way he muscled that and hit that as hard as he can. Dude, it was an excellent piece of hitting right there by Kyle Schwarber. And the emotion he shows, it's infectious to the rest of the team.
Especially when he's a leader.
Yeah, he is, surprisingly, the leader of this team.
But you know why, though, Phil? Because what was he when we brought him in? The winner, right? He has a World Series ring. Every team he's been on gets to the playoffs. He knows what that feeling, what that tastes like. And now he's here. They went through the trials and tribulations early on in the season, and now he can smell it. And now he knows that they're getting close. Mm-hmm. And he's going out there. 3 hits off of Alcantara last night for him.
Yep.
Driving in 2 runs for him last night. That was huge for Schwarber last night. And then you see him walk out to left field to start the top of the 9th. Mm-hmm. And that left field is going absolutely berserk. The whole stadium was going nuts when Sir Anthony was on the bump in the 9th inning. It was awesome. And I tweeted this out, and it's honestly what it had a feeling like to me last night. It felt like a Sunday night Eagles win. Sunday night, Eagles are on. They win a great game. You're not going to sleep, dude. Like, it might be 11:30. You're not going to sleep for an hour and a half or 2 hours, even if you got work the next day, right?
Yeah. Even if you got to wake up at 7 a.m. to do a podcast.
Right. Now, obviously, this game ended a lot earlier than an Eagles Sunday night game would, but it had that energy to it after a great win where you're just kind of amped and you're up and you're like, I could care less about going to bed right now. Like, you're just up watching post game, like doing whatever. Like, that's the feeling it gave me last night.
All right. So real quick, are you doing pregame show today?
I might be doing it by myself. Okay. So if anyone wants to tune in,
real quick, today you got Kyle Gibson against Edward Cabrera, 1:00 day game here. Cabrera's only had 4 starts this year, and he's given up 5 runs in one of them, but 0-0 and 1 in the other game. So 3 out of his 4 starts have been pretty damn dominant starts. Kyle Gibson, who we know who Kyle Gibson is, we're either going to get 8 innings of 1 run or 1 inning of 8 runs.
Hey, almost to a perfect game or a no-hitter last time.
Perfect game, yeah. He had 6 innings there till the announcers ruined that one.
Yeah.
Initial thoughts. I'll say you could say most of your thoughts for the pregame show. Do you think the Phillies complete another sweep here and continue this winning streak?
Yeah, I do. They're not following up 14 hours after that win last night with a loss to this team. It's just not happening. Now, if they had to come from behind against Cabrera last night and Alcantara was on the mound tonight, maybe a little bit different of a story. You defeated Goliath last night, right? You came from behind versus Goliath last night. I think the bats are going to be alive today. I think this is the game where the Phillies put up what they scored the first game against the Marlins, 4 again. Yeah, they scored 4 and 4.
Really scored much yet.
Right. This is a game where they're going to put up 6, 7, 8 runs. They're going to beat up on the Marlins, and they're going to sweep their way into New York. And now things are going to get interesting, Phil.
I will end it with this on the Phillies talk. It's really pissing me off that the Braves continue to win just on the Phillies.
I know.
Cardinals are
the freaking Red Sox, man.
Everybody's freaking winning. We can't make up any ground because everybody's winning in this chase.
Keep doing what you got to do.
The Mets definitely got to be scared. Look, Kyle Gibson, I think that today's game is going to come down to more of a the Marlins got to be defeated after the way they blew the game last night. Their best pitcher went, it got blown. So that negative defeatist energy might carry over for them today. And I think, Kyle Gibson's given up less and less of those terrible, those bad starts are starting to happen fewer and fewer,
right?
As the season's gone on. Kyle Gibson's going to come out tonight or today and dominate the Marlins. I'm just going to say now, because I won't be on the pregame show, I got the Phillies winning. They're going to bust out their bats today. I have an 8-2 win today for the Phillies.
I love it. That's where I'm feeling, right around there.
All right. I'm gonna give you co-host choice today. Second topic. Do you want to go Philly or Eagles, or do you want to go Sixers?
We gotta go Sixers, man.
All right. We haven't talked Sixers on this show in ages, and we've really put them on the back. And there's things that have been happening. Harden and Durant partying with Travis Scott. You got the Rump or Ramp Classic, whatever, with so many guys playing in it. You got all the workout videos. Harden, Maxey working out with LeBron. There's so much that's happened. We've kind of all just kind of pushed it off to the side a little bit. And yesterday morning, late the other night, I forget when it was.
Yesterday, late morning.
Late morning yesterday, before the show started, or maybe while this show was going on yesterday, news drops that Kevin Durant is holding firm. He still wants out of Brooklyn. The way the words are phrased, it kind of makes me think he's going to sit out and not play if he does not get traded. And his 2 preferred destinations, Philadelphia and Boston. And this comes out literally a couple days after he was seen somewhere. I think it was somewhere in Europe. London. Partying with James Harden at a concert. Was it Travis Scott or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't know Travis Scott's stuff that well, but that's not my kind of genre of music. But I keep wanting to say Travis Barker every time I say Travis Scott because that's more my style. Is this legitimately a possibility that Kevin Durant is going to come to Philly?
So even after that report came out, and it was, quote, his desired landing spots were Philly and Boston, right? And then reports started to circle that he wants to play again with James Harden. So clearly Harden wasn't the issue in Brooklyn. Thanks. That book closes on to the next one, right? Yeah, there's something there. Now, do I think he actually gets to Philly? No. But if you're one of the two teams in the sweepstakes, there's always a chance. If Boston's involved, they can obviously throw out the better package, meaning they have Jaylen Brown, and that would be the better package already. But here's something that people aren't understanding. So the Nets asking price is sky high at the moment still. But they can ask for Jaylen Brown, they can ask for Jason Tatum, they can ask for Joel Embiid. You ain't getting it. So if Durant holds firm, if he's not showing up to training camp, if he's not showing up to preseason, right? Like Ben Simmons did, right? A little bit of a different situation, but you get my point. That asking price drops tremendously. So there is no more asking for Jason Tatum or Joel Embiid, right? So if you're the Sixers, now here's where the question really goes. Are you willing to part with him? And you already know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's a huge argument within Sixers, Sixers fans. Are you willing to part with Tyrese Maxey? It would probably take Maxey. I would assume Thibault, Tobias for the money, and then
here's actually something interesting, because before the show, I hate the NBA trade machine. That people do trade deadline. Everybody's like hypothetical trades, but it's a great way to see if the money works.
Right,
100%, no doubt about it. Tobias has to be involved because of the money. There's no doubt about it. But hypothetically speaking, Tobias and Maxey with draft picks gets it done. Okay? But that doesn't make it work financially. You can't. Now, Tobias and Matisse and draft picks, financially, it gets it done. I've got it up here on the screen. I did share screen. Let's see here. Where's my trade machine? There it is. All right. I put it together. You could put together a package like this where you don't have Matisse. And I know people are going to say it's unrealistic without Maxey, with Matisse in it. Because if you take Matisse out of this equation and put Maxey, the money does not work. So the question is, if this drags on, all the Nets wanted for James Harden was Tyrese Maxey. We held firm. We didn't give it up. And we still got him. Is there a scenario? And the rumors were that they did want Matisse, but because of the vaccination rules and his vaccine status, he didn't go. Those are all out the window now. Is there a scenario where this drags on enough that Matisse, Tobias, I threw some other pieces in there just maybe for whatever purposes. You don't even need the other two spots on this trade to make it officially work. A bunch of draft picks. Does Brooklyn cave and accept Matisse and Tobias?
It would greatly depend how far down the line we get to regular season and how pat Kevin Durant stands with his feelings here, and if he's really not going to play for Brooklyn. I don't see a way that Maxey's not involved in it. I think he would automatically have to be. And with that being said, like that's the tough part of this conversation. I don't want to move on from Tyrese Maxey. The kid continues to grow. Scotty, there he is.
I'm not suggesting he doesn't have to be in the deal. I know he has to be in the deal, but I'm kind of trying to play devil's advocate. I'm trying to think as if I'm Daryl Morey. And here's the point, and I'll take this off the screen here real quick. If I'm Daryl Morey, Daryl Morey is dead set on not including Tyrese Maxey. But if it really comes down to it, does Daryl Morey have to change his opinion on getting rid of him because the Boston Celtics are the other option? You do not want Kevin Durant going to Boston, do you? If Boston offers Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, because I keep hearing Marcus Smart has to be involved from Boston as well. You have to beat what Boston can give. You do not want Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant being paired together, do you? I don't.
You don't, but I'm also looking at it more from a Sixers point of view. Harden, Embiid, and Durant would win 68 freaking games. You're not, if they're healthy, you're not losing. And you are the odds-on favorite for the title tomorrow. And here's the best part. Like you were talking about Maxey, I get all that. You're still keeping the role players you brought in. You'd still have that PJ Tucker on your team. You'd still have DeAnthony Melton. You'd still have Daniel House Jr. You'd still have, so you'd have those three, and then you'd have the role players still around. You'd have to fill here and there, but it is as tough of a scenario that you're going to have, Phil, and it's the only way it happens. But to me, today, my mindset could change in a month. I don't know. Today, I'm doing the deal for Kevin Durant, even if Tyrese Maxey is involved. It maximizes your championship window by a fortune over the next 2 to 3 years, and that's the whole goal. Like, that is the whole – you have Joel Embiid's window, and now you also have James Harden's window. If he can come back healthy from that hamstring this year, realistically, again, he probably only has another 2 years or so to maximize what he can do on a basketball floor. Kevin Durant's the same way. Kevin Durant's another year older. Kevin Durant's battled injuries. It's not a guarantee they stay healthy. But my God, dude, like we're talking about a top 3 player in the world, if not the most talented scorer on the freaking planet. And we're not going to do it because we love Tyrese Maxey. I don't know, man. It's so tough.
Scotty's saying he thinks we would eventually regret. So the question, it comes down to, will you regret? So Dylan, this is a question, and I would not regret it. The question is, would you regret losing Maxey? If, here's the scenario, we trade Tobias Maxey, whatever it takes, we get Kevin Durant, we win a title this year, we get our chip. Then we fall to pieces after it. Maxey becomes a superstar. Maxey becomes a top 10 player. Maybe he wins a title. Maybe he doesn't. But it's like that old adage, do you sell your soul to the devil for a championship? And I say yes. I don't care what happens 5 years from now, 10 years from now. If I get a chip this year, then I don't care. I'm all in no matter what.
Right, exactly. And now to say now.
Let me add a second part to that question. No regrets if we get to the finals, but then say lose to a Golden State team or something like that. It just doesn't work out in the end, but at least we get to that title round. Do you still have no regrets?
I'd regret it a little. I think a title is what's expected at that point if you make that move. And dude, I'm not saying Tyrese Maxey won't be top 10 in the NBA. Do you know how good, like, I'm not saying he can't get there, and he's already a budding star. Do you know what that leap is like? Like, we can name the top 10 players that he would have to be in there with. Now, that would be incredible. But what are we talking about here, Phil? We're talking about winning a championship with Joel Embiid. Because post Joel Embiid, are we sitting here thinking about like, Tyrese Maxey's going to be the star of the team and we're going to build around him? No, we're talking about winning around Embiid. So yes, if it means a chip this year and then it falls off, yeah, you'll freaking do it, because in 4 years from now, Joel Embiid, 3 years from now, is not going to be this MVP Joel Embiid. James Harden's not going to be this version of James Harden if he can get back to himself a little bit.
All right, so the Nets front office seems to be also, though, on the other side, holding firm, holding fast. They don't want to do it. They're saying we're not going to, at what point? At what point do they have to do it? And at what point at some point you have to think, because you look at the James Harden trade. I mean, it was Andre Drummond, Ben Simmons, a disgruntled guy, and Seth Curry for James Harden. I mean, I don't want to talk down on Seth Curry or any of those guys, but it was, in my opinion, pennies on the dollar compared to who James Harden was, still can be, whatever. But they were down to the deadline. They had no choice but to do it. At what point? Does it have to be once the season starts and he's sitting out, or is it sometime in camp? Or do they just have to realize that, they got to act now, because, the longer it drags on, the better it is for the Sixers to get a better 100%. Deal for it.
They lose all leverage the longer it drags on, and he holds firm on his stance, right? But I don't think it's going to happen soon. I would say after this month, possibly. I'd say in September when they start to report, to practice in camp. That might be around when it happens if he's not showing up. Because, not to mention, someone tweeted this out, and it was like, he's hanging out with Harden, and who's the master at getting his way and getting out of somewhere. So it was a joke, but
talk about
man,
tampering. Let
yeah,
we want to play together again. Let's go to London. It's like we're in a different area code in a different country, so cheating doesn't matter over in another country. You know what I mean?
I saw another tweet as well, and this is where Sixers Twitter. I can't wrap my mind around it, man. Someone had said, I don't understand why y'all think Maxey would be included in a Durant deal. Daryl already said he could have moved Maxey in the past, and he didn't. That wasn't for Kevin Durant, you genius.
But okay. So, and again, I'm not trying. I want to get Durant and keep Maxey. That's like
100%. 100%.
Absolutely.
I just don't see a way.
KD comes out and says, I want to play in Philly only. He takes Boston off it. Obviously, I almost feel like Boston was just a throw-in name. Like, I don't see him hanging out with Jason Tatum and partying. You know what I mean? I think he truly does want to come to Philly. He's got the union, part ownership. He does business in New York and Philly all the time.
When he loves the East Coast, so it's at least one of the
NBA
two teams.
players have. To me, it's insane that the power that, because if he says, I want to play in Philly and that's it, or I'm not showing up, then all of a sudden, Maxey might not have to be involved. If he puts them up against the firing squad and says, you've got no choice, I'm either playing there or I'm not playing at all, your call.
And I want to play with Tyrese Maxey.
Whatever. What's that?
And he says, I want to play with Tyrese Maxey.
I want to play with Maxey. I want those guys. Look, I mean, there is a scenario in my mind because NBA players out of all sports hold more power over the organization than any other sport.
Agreed.
And if Kevin Durant says, I want Philly, he makes that firm, then maybe there's a 2 or 3% chance that Maxey does. Maybe it can come down to Matisse, Tobias. Throw in Isaiah Joe and B-Ball Paul. Sure, and why picks, not? Yeah. Sure, throw in 3 first-round picks, throw in 3 pick swaps, whatever it takes. There is a scenario in my mind where if he plants his flag in the ground and says, this is it, that it can happen. Like, who would have thought we were talking about this in mid-August?
I don't know the rules. I know there's some crazy rules. Obviously, like the Heat can't trade Bam to the Nets because Bam and Ben were in this. Whatever that rule is, there's some weird
there's a lot of weird
little things in the contracts there. But like, can we turn around and trade pieces we just traded for or signed? Like for instance,
it was an unrestricted free. I don't know the exact date, but if you sign an unrestricted free agent.
What about a trade?
Have to wait till like December 1st.
I was going to say, wouldn't like DeAnthony Melton be like a nice little piece? They probably wouldn't mind.
I don't know if the rule applies for trade.
No, I don't. Like I'm excited for DeAnthony Melton to come off the bench.
He's my favorite.
Me too. I'm just saying, like, wouldn't like to get if that had wouldn't that be something?
Well, if you're trading to Tyrese Maxey, you got to keep Melton because you're.
Well, no. I'm saying with Tease out of it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, look. I don't know if that same rule applies in trade.
I know.
But in free agent, like so, PJ Tucker, Daniel House, they can't be traded. I remember one year it was December 1st was the deadline. It's a certain amount of weeks or months into the season
that they're with the organization.
One year was December 1st. I don't know if that's like an exact date every year, like the trade deadline or something. But there is a time you have to keep your guys that you sign for a certain amount of time. So those guys we can't offer PJ Tucker.
Right. And I want this out there. I am already good with what the Sixers have put together this offseason. Yeah. Like, I'm ready to roll. I think they're a top 2-3 team in the East. I think they're going to compete for the East in the finals this year. I'm just talking about if you can get a top 3 player in the world. You most of the times you pull the trigger on something like that. But
I firmly believe Kevin Durant will go down in history as one of the 5 greatest scorers of all time. Yeah. Not 5 greatest basketball players. No, 5 greatest scorers in the history of the NBA. And he's still at that elite level right now.
Yeah, dude, we're talking about KD. Like, are we joking?
The way he plays, you don't have to worry about. I mean, he gets some nicks and bruises, and he's had some injuries throughout his career. But for
he's not a rim runner.
Yeah, he's not a guy that's like flopping like Embiid or Harden. He's a jump shooter. You're not going to have to worry about his overall health as much
physicality,
as physicality, because he's not a physical player. There's no doubt about that. But there's got to be a scenario in my mind that this is a possibility. Yeah, imagine last year, we didn't have Hart. We were still dealing with Ben Simmons at this point
Yeah, I know.
last year. Yeah, and now we're talking about Harden and Kevin Durant and Joel Embiid. If you can
And
get
Scotty,
Kevin
I
Durant-
agree. Like I think they're ready to win as constructed.
You get Kevin Durant, and you need Embiid healthy for the postseason, obviously. No doubt about it. I almost want to see more load management than before on Joel Embiid because you still need Joel Embiid. Like, I'd be okay. We get Kevin Durant. I'd be okay if all three big three only play 60 games.
Yeah.
As long as 30 of them are together.
Well, they'd win all 60 probably.
Oh,
But no, he's saying they're ready to win right now. Just need Embiid to stay healthy right now. So
he's saying now without KD.
Yeah. No, dude,
Well,
I agree.
I agree. I do agree to an extent because I do feel like right now without Kevin Durant, we are on par with the Bucks and the Celtics and the Heat. Durant puts us over the top of those guys.
Right.
So we're on par with them. We go facing the Eastern Conference Finals, the Bucks. I'm going to root for the Sixers. I'm going to pick the Sixers, but there's a chance that the Bucks are just as good that depending on how the series plays out, it could go either way.
Right. Like I said, man, we're not going to get into this right now, but the pieces they've added, I love the role players they've added. I love D'Anthony Melton. I love PJ Tucker. Right. But James Harden, and it's summer workout videos. And I think we know here in Philadelphia not to over-examine summer workout videos, but man, he looked good. And
Except
it was
for in the Rump Classic when Scotty Barnes locked them up.
No, that wasn't the Rump. That was just a workout.
Was it a workout?
Yeah. No.
My man Espendari, who works for the Score, he loves it. He's a Raptors guy, so he was.
Congrats. They showed what right. Yeah. They showed one possession, but thanks.
Yeah. One possession, exactly. One possession.
Right. And here's the thing. But it was Bobby Marks or somebody on ESPN yesterday, and they were talking about the Sixers, and they were showing James Harden workout stuff, and he said, now again, it doesn't matter what he says, but he believes that Harden, when they're talking about top 3 in the MVP voting next year, Harden will be in the top 3 of MVP voting. Now, that was odd to me because the way that national media viewed Harden and the Sixers at the end of last year, he's washed. He doesn't look the same. He can't get, he doesn't have that bounce anymore. It was odd to hear a national basketball guy come out and say that. Why? Because he might just be healthy again. But that's TBD. We'll see. And if he is healthy, you're damn right, Scotty. This team's ready to win today.
Did he? I don't know. Maybe
it might not have been Bobby Marks, but it was a bald-headed dude on ESPN, NBA Live. I'm pretty sure it was Bobby Marks.
Bald people, man.
You'll be. Well, you're not there. No, you're not there.
Man. The camera, man. This side right here, man. The hairline goes all the way back to here, man.
That's all right. He had the thing that you just whip out and buff it.
I used to shave my head. I used to have a bald head. I used to bick it every day. Yeah, that was my stone cold look. The bald head, the goatee. Backdooring that. All right. So we got 15 minutes. So we got transition from Sixers. I'm sure there's going to be more news every day this week and next week on this Durant situation. So we're going to continue to monitor it, and we're going to continue to talk about it here on Trending in the AM. Again, a lot of people watching on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button for me. We greatly appreciate that support. Eagles, preseason game tomorrow. Got Chris Franklin from NJ.com coming on tomorrow to give us his hands-on report from training camp and expectations for the first preseason game. But yesterday, the daily press conference of Nick Sirianni, he said flat out, these starters will be playing 1 to 2 series of the game. And we're going to get into my thoughts on it in a second. But 1 to 2 series, that basically means that if the opening series, the Eagles march down the field, get some points on the board, even if they don't score, if they get 8 or 9 plays in,
seen enough.
Peace out. That's it. Now, if they go 3 and out on the first drive, then you're going to see a second drive with them. Mm-hmm. That's basically what they mean. But Scott or Dylan, I want to say, I see Scotty's name in the comments. I'm thinking, sorry. Anyway, I'm kind of still on the fence about the way Nick Sirianni has been doing practice and the not tackling to the ground, et cetera, et cetera. I am on the fence with all that. But Jason Kelce out. Mailata, Dillard, they may or may not play on Friday. They're still recovering from a concussion. Do you really want to risk your starting running back, your starting quarterback, your starting wide receivers with a rookie guy under center that he's going to play in the game? Cam Jurgens is going to play more than two drives. He's going to probably play the first half as the center in that preseason game. We already see the reports from practice that the third string left tackle sucks. Clark, I can't remember his first name, Ray and Clark or something like that.
Yeah.
You really want to risk Jalen Hurts and everybody else by having all these backup linemen because your guys aren't healthy. And that really concerns me at this point.
So I think Mailata's back. I'm pretty sure I saw that. He's
cleared. Practiced in a limited condition yesterday because they haven't fully cleared the concussion protocol.
So we'll see what happens there. I'm not so worried about the Cam Jurgens thing, because if Hurts, he's not going to get blown up, and Hurts is going to get killed like he would someone coming off the edge from his blind side, or and ripping him, right? So I'm not so worried about Cam Jurgens. Now, if it is Lorraine Clark or whoever as the starting left tackle, well, that worries me slightly. I would roll him out to the right every play until he's out of the game. But no, man, it's fine with me. They're not going to play a lot this preseason at all. And I see some people say, don't play them at all. It's not in the preseason. It's not worth it. You needed some sort of taste of live action football before you get to week 1. So 2 series, 1 or 2 series today or tomorrow, 2 series in the second game, no series in the third game. Perfectly fine with it. You need some sort of taste of regular football, of live football, before you get ready for the real thing on week 1. I'm not really that worried. I don't think Jalen Hurts. Remember back in 16 when Wentz got his ribs fractured against Tampa Bay. I don't see a hit coming like that tomorrow night. Now, knock on wood, I hope I don't jinx it.
It could happen.
Right, but I don't think I don't think we're rolling out Lorraine Clark. I really think that Mailata, or at least Dillard, who I'm not a Dillard fan, but I think at least one of them two will be out there for the first 2 series.
What about with the defense? Do you care on the defensive side whether they play 1 drive, 2 drive? Because the defense is all based about rotation anyway.
Right.
Do we need to see Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis?
I think you're going to see a decent amount of Nakobe Dean.
I want to see Marcus Epps out there for 4 or 5 drives. Yeah. I want to see, a lot of the, sure, Brandon Graham, you want to get him 1 drive, that's fine. Fletcher Cox, that's fine. But I think we still need to see a lot of the defense in the first 2, 3, 4, maybe the first half of the game, because I think you could get by with the offense playing very minimally, but the not tackling to the ground thing does concern me a little bit on the defensive side of it.
Sure, you're definitely going to see Nakobe Dean out there for a while, I would imagine, because he's not a starter technically right now for this team.
I remember that. What was that? Was that game when he broke his ribs? Had we already traded Sam Bradford? Was he already?
I forget. Was
he already anointed the starter?
I don't think so. Didn't we trade Bradford a week and a half before the season started?
It was Minnesota week or 2 before the season started. So Wentz was still trying to prove himself, earn some respect. He was the rookie. He was the second or third. Who was? It was Bradford, Wentz, and who was the other quarterback that camp?
It wasn't Chase Daniel, was it? No.
I don't remember. It was 2016.
I forget.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we were all once, we moved up for once and we went out, we were excited to see him, and then he got his ribs cracked in the first preseason game. So that was exciting.
It worries me though.
Yeah, no, but defensively, I think you'll see them out there a little bit more. I would imagine it'll be interesting to see what they do. Are they going to start Bradbury and Slay for a series or 2? Is Cox going to play? Is BG going to play? It was Chase Daniel. How the hell do you remember he had 7 a year?
Dude, Chase Daniels is probably living the life. I mean, I think he's still in the league technically. I mean, the guy has made close to $100 million. To be a backup.
Most expensive backup.
In Green Bay, right? Was it Green Bay where he had that one big game, Week 16?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he had one big game when somebody wasn't playing, and he's parlayed that into a massive amount of money.
Yeah,
damn, I did something wrong in life.
But it's just good to know that Eagles football is back tomorrow, even if it's just in a limited capacity. Just to see the stars out there for 1 or 2 possessions it's exciting just to know that it's back and that, we're another day closer to the real thing. Matt Flynn. Was it Matt Flynn?
Matt Flynn was the guy that, both Matt Flynn and Chase Daniels have both made a ton of money as backup quarterbacks. So, whatever. I could get confused on all these backups that have made hundreds of millions of dollars while I'm sitting here.
Sam Bradford's probably made the most for the
Sam
most
Bradford's the highest
mediocre
paid
starter
rookie deal of
ever.
all time. He changed the way the NFL draft paid their rookies because he was the last guy to get a big first round thing there. Yeah. Anyway, are you concerned though with injuries in general? Because even with the lack of contact and lack of everything, you're starting to see, Devontae Smith nicked up. Anthony Harris out. It was not an injury. It was a tooth thing. You're starting to see the nicks and bruises start to pile up, even in a camp.
They have a pretty lengthy list at the moment.
They have I was reading it before the show. I could bring it back up, but there are a lot of guys getting.
Running back's going to be interesting too, because Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott, I believe, are out. Boston Scott's out, so what are you going to play Sanders for a series, and then you're going to roll the new kid out there probably for the rest of the game. Smith, I don't know if it worries me. I hope they're just being precautionary with him, but he's missed almost a week worth of practice in a row now with that groin injury, and it's like, are they just being cautious with him, or is this a lingering thing that they're worried about? Because the Kelsey thing spooked me a little bit.
Spooked me a lot.
Because it's not so I have no worry that he's back by week 1 or week 2 at the latest, right? I'm fine with that part. I believe that part. But don't sit here and try to sell us on it's a routine procedure. No surgery is routine. They call it a routine clean out. Oh, it's a routine clean out that he misses a month for? It's not routine. And the way that it just came out of nowhere, dude. His elbow started bothering him, so we're going to clean it out. You figure that out in 12 hours? You just put that surgery together in 12 hours?
We are up to over 15 guys that aren't playing right now.
Right.
Okay. You got Anthony Harris. He had a tooth issue, so probably had a cavity or something like that. But you got Jimmy Moreland, Kerry Vincent, just Jaquay Tart. You got Devontae Smith, Greg Ward, Jonathan Hightower, Kirk Wheatfall, Gainwell, Scott. What is with all the concussions in the camp where there's no contact?
Not to mention the stupid looking freaking caps that they're putting over top of the helmet to help, and they're not helping.
The third string tackle, Larry and Clark. Now he's got a hamstring issue, missed practice. Mylott and Dillard are still working their way back. It says from the concussion protocols. I mean, we're up to over 15 guys. That to me concerns me. What is going on in camp if we're not going to take it hard? And push hard and tackle hard and go all in.
Yeah,
We're going to take a very passive approach, and they're still getting hurt. There's something wrong there in my opinion.
What's the difference if you have 15 injuries in camp and you're tackling to the ground and you're going all in, or you're taking this more science approach and you still have 15 guys injured? Yeah. Now again, you can hope some of them are concussions. That's going to be a week, right? Week and a half. Some of them are caution. One's a 2. Zach Pascal had food poisoning. It's all hope to be little stuff, but it's nonetheless still injuries and guys aren't playing. Mm-hmm. So what's really the difference? But it's all right.
Oh, hey, look, it's exciting. Like you said, football is back tomorrow. I actually, I could care. I don't want anybody getting hurt tomorrow. I don't. I'd be fine not seeing Hurts play tomorrow. Whatever. I understand why. I look forward to the joint practices when you're going one-on-one and practice against another team, because that's when I think you get the excitement of a game without the tackle onto the ground or the quarterback not getting hurt and stuff like that. There's more competition in that than in practice, than in a preseason game. Preseason games for the third stringers. It's to see Brittany Covey, see if he can make this team. That's what the preseason games are. I love the joint practices, and that's what I look forward to. Hell, I would love to see them televise those joint practices. I would pay more attention to that than anything else. And you see in the camp and the reports that the Jalen Hurts, the AJ Brown connection is growing. All reports he had a great day yesterday at practice. Again, connecting for another big deep pass to AJ Brown. Zach Pascal supposedly had a big catch from him as well. Starting to see it. But again,
that's what I'm looking forward to the most, probably out of anything, because we can try to keep an eye on Epps and keep an eye on Harris isn't playing, but keep an eye on Kayvon Wallace, etc. It's a little bit more difficult, obviously, with the camera angle that we have from home to keep your eye on a safety off ball. I'm looking at the Zach Pascal, Quez Watkins area of the wide receiver room, especially without Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown's only
And
going to
Jalen
play one
Reagor?
or two possessions.
How about Jalen Reagor?
Sure, but like I'm talking about,
Jalen Reagor better be out there for the full freaking 4 quarters.
Here's what I'm saying.
Earning that trade value up.
Here's what I'm saying. I think Eagles fans view Quez Watkins up here and Zach Pascal down here, and I don't think the gap's that far away.
I agree with you on that 100%.
I see the explosiveness in Quez. He had a couple very nice catches last year. Dude did score 1 touchdown, right? Zach Pascal, with limited quarterback play, has scored 5 touchdowns in back-to-back seasons. He's a bigger target in the red zone. So I think they're going to be utilized differently. They're both going to get playing time. But in terms of who's number 3 and whoever's number 4 is obviously going to get less playing time than whoever's going to be the slot guy for most of the game. And you would assume with the speed, it's Quez. But I really don't think it's that far off, man. I think people have built Quez up so high in their minds, and I hope they're right. But
I kind of agree with it a little bit. Like, he's a burner. We all know that. He thinks he's the fastest guy in the NFL.
Well,
Great.
He's not, but
you still got to get open. You still got to catch the ball. You still got to run crisp routes. Watkins is a vertical slot guy, completely different play. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But people
when
are
you're talking about playing time,
Watkins on this pedestal. They're putting them up there with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
Honestly, he hasn't proven to get that rep yet.
No.
He's still got to find a way to get open. He's still got to find a way to catch the ball. Didn't he have a big drop in a game last year?
Yeah.
I forget which game it was.
I think it was Denver. It was Denver. It was a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah,
right
it could have
before
been a
halftime.
Yeah. He's still got to prove things to me to earn that level of respect that he thinks he's got, that the casual fan base gives him.
Now, I brought this up before, and I do agree with George's point. Like, they're very different players, and I think that's what they're both going to get playing time. But I think Quez is going to be utilized a lot more inside the 20s and for that deep play, for that big playability. And I think you're going to see a lot of Zach Pascal inside the red zone, inside the 15-yard line. Because I think Zach Pascal will score more touchdowns this year than Quez Watkins.
I'm still telling you, Zach Pascal, if Jalen Reagor does not get traded, might not make this team.
Zach Pascal?
Yeah.
Nah, no shot.
Why is Zach Pascal guaranteed a spot on this team?
No shot. What?
I'm just saying that if you have to cut one, if it comes down to at the end,
but it won't.
One wide receiver, you're not going to cut Jalen Reagor with $8.5 dead cap money when Zach Pascal's only making $1.5 million. Zach Pascal's a guy that if somebody impresses is not guaranteed a spot on this team.
Yeah, but as of right now, Zach Pascal is the veteran one that's impressing. The others aren't. So
do you know how much you got Smith, Brown, or Watkins. They're your top 3. They normally carry 5.
I'm already lumping Pascal in it. I think you have 4, and you can figure out who the 5th is.
All right, so you got 4. You still got Reagor, you got Ward, you got Covey.
Right.
You got
those guys can fight that spot out.
I'm just telling you. I'm not saying he's not going to get on the final roster there, but there is a scenario that plays out that Reagor impresses, does not get traded. That Reagor is your number 4. They keep Ward. They probably will carry 6 this year because they're not going to be running the 12. They don't need 3 tight ends on the roster anymore. You know, I just look at when I see guys get signed to teams for $1 million, $1.5 million. It's almost like you got to prove it in camp. He's already behind in camp because he missed a lot of time with food poisoning.
Yeah, but
I just don't think it's as much of a lock as people think for him to be on this team, especially considering Howie's love of Jalen Reagor and Greg Ward.
I mean, I think he's a lock, so we differ in opinion there. But I just think he's a guy that, like, apparently, yes, I know he was behind from food poisoning, but he is already impressing in a short amount of time in training camp over anybody else.
Big catch.
What's the name? He's a veteran piece. He can block. We know Sirianni's going to love that. I think there's a reason he was like the second free agent guy they brought in. Not a reason in like he's a big time player, but a reason in he's got a spot and Nick has an idea for him on his team. He's a former Colt, right, where Nick was. I think he is a lock. Whether it's 3rd or 4th, I don't know. But you're going to see Zach Pascal. You're going to see Zach Pascal catch a handful of touchdowns this season as well.
I hope so. Look, I'm not trying to write him off. I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just trying to.
I
Keep
get your
people
point
reminded.
that
You know
if
what I
it
mean?
comes down
The
to him
odds
and
are,
Rager,
if we were going to say it's 100% that 1, 2, 3 is Smith, Brown, Watkins. To my mind, it's only 85% that Pascal is number 4 on this team right now. I still think there's a 10, 15% chance that he does not make the final cut of this team. But we'll see.
all right.
We'll see how it is. All right, we're gonna wrap it up for the day here, trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. Again, thank you to everybody that tuned in. Again, if you're watching on replay, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button on YouTube. We'd greatly appreciate it if you're watching on other social media platforms. Share, retweet, follow all the DSM Media accounts, all the guys on DSM Media. Big things coming. We're really gearing up here for September. Fall, baseball playoff time, basketball will be back, Eagles starting.
Football.
We might at some point have to start making trending in the AM a 90-minute show, because once the season starts, there's just going to be too much to cover in an hour. I am Phil Slife, your host at Beard of Knowledge. Make sure you shoot my man Dylan a follow, Dylan JD98, and stay tuned. It looks like he might do a Phillies pregame show here in a little bit, so make sure you tune into that. Everybody have a great day. Oh shit, I'm not prepared for my outro. Now I'm prepared.
Come on, man.
I know. We have outro videos now. I got to get prepared for this kind of stuff. Everybody have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Chris Franklin, NJ.com. Join the show tomorrow with me and Jason. Look forward to that. Everybody have a great day and go Birds.